There has been numerous videos about the failures of 343, the failures of Halo 4, 5, and Halo Infinite. But what I want to talk about is what I view as the biggest reasons why 343 just doesn't understand Halo and why 343 has kind of failed at grasping what they have on their plate. The first thing I want to point out, though, is that I don't actually think the 343 Halo games are as bad as a lot of people think they are. Like Halo 5 has a lot of issues. I have a video about, what I think would have been a better way to go about Halo 5. But I generally think Halo 4 is, a good Halo game. The multiplayer is unbalanced and not very good in and of itself. But just looking at Halo from a campaign standpoint, Halo 4, in my opinion, is a work of art. Now, Halo Infinite, on the other hand, is a mixed bag. If you look at my review or any other reviews when the game first came out, there was very, very positive comments about Halo Infinite's campaign. It wasn't really until people started doing their replays where it's like, okay, this could have been different. I'm not really the biggest fan of this kind of segment of the game, and so on. So when it comes to 343, when it comes to the point of this video, what are the things that 343 kind of just don't understand about Halo, and where does their fault come in at? Well, the first thing I'll point out is a general fault of any writer, any publishing studio, or any production is whenever they come into an already existing IP, they try to make that IP their own. This is not just a gaming thing. This is a thing involving in all entertainment. Whenever there's a new showrunner, a new director, a new writer, they want to make the product their own. So they tend to try to change up things that was already established. For 3, for example, they tried to change up a lot of Halo lore. For the longest time, we had confirmed by Bungie that humans are the descendants of the Forerunner. They are Forerunner. Then 343 came around and they're like, no. That's not how that works. Humans are not Forerunner. Humans are actually the enemy of the Forerunner who went to war with the Forerunner, and that's why the Didact hates humans. And it's like, well, that just makes this confusing because in the lore, there's the ISO Didact and the Didact, and the ISO Didact is believed to be, who Chief is supposed to be the reincarnation of. And for the longest time, through a lot of books and the first 3 Halo games, humans were Forerunner. So it doesn't make sense to just randomly be like, nah, never mind. But this is, again, 343 trying to put their fingerprint on the Halo by changing up what the Halo lore was. We see this again with how they kind of remove the Flood from really being a thing. In Halo 4, 5, and Infinite, the Flood aren't a thing. Like at the end of Halo Infinite, when you do Legendary Run, they do kind of hint at the return of the Flood. But just in core gameplay of the campaign, the Flood aren't present. They're not in Halo 4, they're not in Halo 5, they're not in Halo Infinite. Meanwhile, they're in every Halo game, from Reach to 1 to 2 to 3. The Flood are a ever-present thing in the game. They're always like that third enemy that just pops in. In Halo Reach, you're fighting the Covenant and then a Flood pops up. In Halo CE, you're fighting the Covenant and the Flood pops up. Halo 2, it's the same thing. Like, yes, the brutes are thrown in there, but still, at some point, the Flood pops up. Imagine playing Halo 4, you're doing all those things involving the Prometheans, and then the Flood pops up. It adds to the game. Because 343 wants to have their game be their game, you don't get that. They want you to be immersed in the idea of the Prometheans. This is their enemy type. This is what they came up with. This is their story. And again, this is a common thing. Even when it comes to part of the failure of the Disney Star Wars trilogy, part of why that trilogy failed is because of the same thing. Originally, they had J.J. Abrams doing, the Star Wars movies, and then he left. They brought in Rian Johnson, and Rian Johnson tried to make it his story. He started to change up JJ's ideas. He started to change up how a lot of the plot was going to work and how a lot of the story was going to go forward. And then Rian Johnson left, and JJ came back, and what happened? JJ tried to do the same thing, tried to change up how the story was told, and so on. Again, this is a common thing whenever you replace someone with someone else to be the director or the writer of a product. 343 is no different. And when I say these things, understand, I'm not trying to give 343 an excuse. I'm not trying to excuse what they've done to the Halo franchise by pointing out that this is a common thing when it comes to someone else taking control over a property. I'm just pointing these things out just to give you like a basis. 343, by all measures of the imagination, messed up. You know, they tried to do too much. You know, the entire, if you look at their ideas for the 3 Halo games, you know, for Halo 4 and Halo Infinite, the ideas are actually kind of sound. But for Halo 5, it's like, what are you doing here? But I understand when we first saw the Halo 5, you know, trailer or the teasers that they had were trying to make it seem like, you know, the Spartan Locke was going to be hunting down Master Chief. People weren't interested. They were intrigued by it. But then the execution was horrible, which is also a common thing with 343. They are very, very, very bad at executing what their idea is. And not only that, when their ideas fail, they don't just, you know, take criticism and, you know, think about it and, you know, try to make what they already have better. They just hit the restart button. All 3 of their Halo games, they hit the restart button. You know, if you think about the criticism they got of Halo 4, instead of just, you know, taking what they have at Halo 4 and just making it better, they hit the restart button. The Halo 5 is a kind of a different game. They bring back Cortana in a different way. They do all these different things, and people criticize it. What they do? They hit the restart button. So Halo Infinite is like a soft reboot of the entire franchise. And it makes people feel like there's a fatigue of Halo when it's not. And there's not actually that many Halo games when you compare it to like other big budget IPs or flagship characters in the gaming industry or just entertainment in general. So how would there be a fatigue of Halo? There isn't. Problem is the people who are making the game don't understand Halo and don't understand the community. That's the issue. When Halo Infinite launched without all of those modes, without Forge, without Slayer, without so many things to make Halo a Halo, 343 didn't understand it. No split screen. 343 doesn't understand, why do you all care about split screen? That's what they're thinking to themselves. Why do these people who play a game, you know, online care about split screen? They don't understand the community. They don't understand why people want these things. And they also, like, again, don't understand how to make their games better. Because again, as I said before, when they get criticism, their thought process is just hit the restart button instead of just taking what they have that is good and, you know, growing from there. The first thing 343 can do, now that they're called the Halo Studios, you have not removed the funk of 343 by changing the name. We still know that it's 343. You know, changing the name doesn't really change how our perception is of the development team. So if you are the development team and somehow you see this video from a very, very small content creator, understand this when it comes to Halo. You yourselves, the entire development staff, should go back and replay through all the Halo games. Try to get an understanding on why people love Halo. Me personally, I replay through Halo games every single year on my live stream, from Reach all the way to Infinite now. Whenever a new game comes out, I add it to the list. I replay through Halo every single year. Before Reach came out, it was CE, but since Reach is before CE, I play Reach first. So go back and play the old Halo games. See how those games work. See what it was about those games from the fundamental aspects of it that make people love those games. Look at forums, look at community posts, ask questions on social media. What is about the original Halo games that you guys love? And see what you get as comments. And take all of that down to consideration to figure out how to make an actual good Halo game. There is a strong sense of like not understanding why the Halo games fail. If you ask, you know, for example, a search engine, be it AI or, you know, Bing, doesn't matter who you ask when it comes to like these search engines and their AIs, even those are tone deaf as to why 343 struggles and why Halo struggles. For example, if you ask Bing, for example, they literally just list industry layoffs as the biggest major impacting factor into why Halo failing. And it's like, well, the layoffs for Microsoft happened after the fact, after Halo 4, after Halo 5, after Halo Infinite. So the layoffs aren't why these games fail. So why do these games fail? It's not because people lost interest in Halo, because if you look at the view count on a lot of Halo videos, be it videos that are like 5 minutes long or videos that are like 2 hours long, they all still maintain what? A huge viewership. People aren't bored of Halo. People aren't tired of Halo. They're bored of bad games. And no, Halo doesn't need a BR to be good. That is another common misconception of, what makes Halo fail is this thought process that it needs a battle royale. It doesn't. Not at all. It doesn't need a battle royale, but it needs just a development studio who cares, who understands the game, and who wants the game to succeed from being a good game. One of the things people don't understand about Halo is this. Halo is one of, if not the only, video game franchise where, especially when it comes to FPS games in particular, where the campaign is top tier and the multiplayer is top tier. Under 343, that changed. It wasn't the same thing anymore. Halo 4, top tier campaign. Halo's multiplayer, though, for Halo 4, bottom of the barrel. It is widely disliked and hated because of how imbalanced it was and how loadouts worked. Halo 5, completely shit freaking campaign, but very well received multiplayer. Halo Infinite, mostly mixed reviews. A lot of people really enjoy Halo Infinite's campaign, including myself, when it comes to the things that I enjoy for the story aspects of the game. But the multiplayer, and at least for initially, was pretty bad. Now it's pretty good. So you notice a trend there. But every other Halo game before that, from Halo Reach, Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3, all had the combination of a good multiplayer and a good campaign. Another thing that's mentioned when it comes to like Halo's lack of success right now is not understanding, and this goes back 343, who their community is. Before, we had a video that was a reaction about Battlefield, and in that video there's a quote from the Helldivers developers. Helldivers just come out on Xbox and they have a crossover with Halo ODST. The developers for Helldivers have a quote where they say, "A game for everyone is a game for no one." Halo, when it comes to 343, tries to be a game for everyone, and that is a problem. Halo needs to understand its identity, understand its community, and build from there. Your community is going to be your core component for why your game succeeds, because those are who want to be the ones playing your game every single day, every single week, every single month. They're the ones who want to buy DLCs or their DLCs. They're the ones who want to buy any kind of microtransactions, not the casuals. The casuals will come in after they hear from word of mouth by the hardcore crowd on how good your game is. When they hear from streamers going, "Hey, this game's really good." Understand the impact of content creation, of content creators. Because for the most part in today's society, the life or death of your game can be based off an Angry Joe review. People could be very hyped about your game, very intrigued by your game, but the second they see Shroud say your multiplayer's ass, they're like, "All right, not playing it." Even though they themselves haven't tried it yet, but because they heard someone else say it's bad, who they put a lot of respect into, they're no longer interested in your game. You've seen numerous games die because content creators call the games bad. Games that, over time get better, but no one goes back to try those games out because it still has that same stink, that same musk of what happened beforehand. It's very rare to see a Cyberpunk situation. Cyberpunk was a game that launched horribly, and by the time it was, being review bombed and things of that nature, it was just a dead game. But then they had all these updates, all these patches that came out, and it, like a phoenix, came from the ashes. That is a very, very rare thing. Most games that go through what that game went through stay dead. No Man's Sky is another game out there that's, getting a lot of like resurgence after all of its updates and things of that nature. But for the most part, that doesn't happen. Battlefield 2042. That game went through absolute review hell. The game's actually been good the last 3 years. How many people do you think know that the game's been good 3 years? Not that many. Why? Because the people who made the videos criticizing the game don't make videos about how good the game is now, because they don't care. It's easy to just say, no, 2042 is just still shit, even though they haven't played it since the game first came out. Even Halo Infinite, for example. Halo Infinite has been good. If you ask pro players, you ask people who play the game now, when it comes to multiplayer, has been good the last, 2-3 years? But you ask people who played the game when it had barely any game modes, like, yo, that game is ass. Halo Infinite's trash. But again, the thing is, Infinite's multiplayer was never actually bad. It was just, there was no content, and when there was content, it was just in the store, you know, and that's kind of, again, another fault of 343, where it's like, okay, people want to play this game, but there was no real progression. They had to come up with an update to add an actual progression system. And even then, it still wasn't great when it came to what they added to it. And when they added things to the store, it was like, okay, so you want people to spend $20 for a skin to look like Master Chief from Halo Combat Evolve, when Combat Evolve is in the MCC, which costs $9. So people are spending double the price of the actual game to get a skin from that game. So you see the issues here when it comes to 343 being the common denominator on, you know, the issues of Halo and its lack of success. You know, you have to make Halo Halo. You know, this is a common thing we're seeing with a lot of FPS games. How does Gears of War succeed? Make Gears of War Gears of War. When you try to reinvent the wheel and try to be different, your game fails. Gears tried that with Judgment. Judgment was considered the worst Gears of War game. Battlefield tried to change Battlefield to be more Call of Duty-like, and the game died. Make your game your game. Have your own identity. Grow your own niche crowd first, and then let that crowd be the voice that gets other people to play your game. Because word of mouth is very powerful. And number 3, now that you're the Halo Studios, you want to act like changing your name gives you like this brand new, you know, clean sheet with Halo. It doesn't. We, the players, still know who's behind the wall, who's behind the screen, who's behind the keyboard, who's behind the coding, who's behind the writing. We know who's in charge. Changing your name doesn't change that. What you need to do is just actually make a good game. Because, you know, plot twist, when you make a good game, you'll buy it. It's the easy way to make money. Make a good game. Why are so many people freaking so interested in GTA 6? Because people mentally don't think there's ever been a GTA game that was bad. They remember GTA 5 being very good. They remember GTA 5 being a game that they love playing and love experiencing, which is why they keep buying it from PS3s and 360s all the way to Xbox Ones and, you know, PS4s into Series X and PS5s. They remember San Andreas being a great game. They remember GTA 4 being a good game. They remember all these games being good. Halo has not had that same streak. People, when it comes to Halo 4, they debate on if it was or wasn't good. When it comes to Halo 5, they universally hate the campaign but enjoy the multiplayer. When it comes to Halo Infinite, mixed bag. You need some winners. Your next Halo game has to be a hit out the park. It can't be sort of okay, sort of good. It can't be good gameplay with no content. It can't be empty open world with 0 set pieces. Because my biggest beef with Halo's Infinite's campaign was no set pieces. You know, like even Halo 5, as bad as people will consider it, it had very, very good set pieces. Those are a critical point of Halo, is having, you know, a nice skybox and having a nice environment for players to just witness and experience. Bring that back. With all that said, that is it for me. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Leave any thoughts you have in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Link below to all the things you can follow me on social media, as well as my Twitch stream, where I stream every Wednesday through Saturday. I'll be witnessing the Archer. I'll see you guys. I'm out of here. Deuces.